Forgot about my microphone. Jennifer didn't even yell at me. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the May 14th meeting?
I move we approve the minutes from the May 14th meeting.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Selena seconded. All right. Let's start with the treasurer's report. Mike, do you have anything you want to share?
Let's see, only in case anybody didn't know, the driveway repair was actually paid for by our endowments. And doing CD things, and that's the only thing new I wanted to talk about.
The driveway?
That was done
This is the drain?
today.
The
Yes.
drain? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So hopefully no lost tires in the drain hole. All right. I need a motion, or first I'll ask if there's any questions on the warrants. I did not have any.
I have a question about the Writers Inspiration Workshop.
Okay.
We in the warrants there included a coverage for May and June, but in the statistics I don't see the workshop. Where they say how
where we have a list of activities
all
that
of
we've
our
held.
programs and. Good. I just
yeah, we should just confirm that we actually held it in both months.
And I was interested to know how many people go. What's maximum? Okay. Good. Okay, so I would just try and include it there.
And then the Jennifer, the Regan Agency, our insurance.
Mhm.
Is that just a once a year or once 6 months kind of payment?
I believe they're installments of 10. So we didn't pay the last 2 months. So I actually did just send an email this evening to our contact over there to ask if this was one particular month where it's like a catch up month and it'll be less. It was a big jump from the previous cycle. So I will get back to you on that as soon as I hear from them.
Why are we paying in 10 installments?
Because we asked to do so a few years ago. We can make that change if that's
no. It's just if it's more expensive, typically they're not going to do it for free.
Gotcha.
So if it's
like
more expensive to pay in 10,
okay, y'all ask.
Need to do that.
Sure.
I have my insurance through the same. I think it's Utica National that we have the insurance, and I have it through them too. And they can, yeah, sometimes they automatically just do a 10-month payment plan. Like last year, I paid it all at once, but it's like a $6 fee every month.
Yep.
For me as an individual.
Yeah.
For the library, it might be more. I don't know, but it's
it's not going to break us, but it's not necessary.
No, I agree.
So.
We have the money. We could pay it. Before we go to that, can I just ask you a question, Mike? When you say that we paid for the driveway with the endowment, that means that the money that we cashed out of one of the wood.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify what you meant by that word. Okay.
One of the endowments is called general maintenance.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And Mike, I just looked back at the programs and I see Writers Inspiration twice in June, an AM and PM session, and once in May.
Okay, my bad. I didn't see those.
And the June was 13 and 14 people and the May was 12 people.
Great.
Okay, can I have a motion on approving the warrants, total invoices with the addendum is $47,218.81.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrants in the amount of $47,218.81.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, next we're going to have our intern speak about her experience. And unfortunately, we need to give you a microphone. Is there pages? Richard. Yeah, I don't know if I've lost him. Yeah, I just, are you coming? That's what I. See if he answers that. No, to Richard. I want to coming to you.
Little symbols.
Yeah, there's definitely typos in that. Yeah, good reading. Sorry for those online. We're just trying to pull up a deck, so apologize for the delay. All right. I think we are ready. Sorry about the little delay there. We're just going to share the deck with everyone.
Okay, so this is my Aspire presentation I did for school. Yeah. Okay, so for the Aspire internship program, I interned at the Pound Ridge Library where Jennifer Coulter, the library coordinator, was my supervisor. I chose to do an on-hands presentation to gain like experience. And at the time I was selecting my internship, I was like changing my majors and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just wanted to intern at the library because it offered me the opportunity to stay productive while rethinking my um, academic and career goals. The focus of my internship was to assist in completing much needed projects for the library in order to help it modernize and its like modernize its services and facilities. Mhm. Is it? Okay, daily responsibilities and tasks. My days at the libraries were centered around completing tasks with each week dedicated to like a specific task. One of my main challenges was helping like the people at the library with questions. Like they would ask me questions all the time and I wasn't like trained on any clerk duties. I was just trained on projects. So it was like kind of a rough time to like help them because I didn't know how to check out books. So but I still gained insight into the duties and operations of a library. My first project was like a big one and it was removing the CD section from the library. And my coordinator, like Jennifer, she told me that like as the years go on by, like no one's really using the audiobooks. So like we're gonna switch it out for a middle grade section. So I just removed all the CD audiobooks. And then my second project was to create spine labels for children's books. And I used like apps like Canva and Chat GPT to like create the images. And then I put it on the children's book. And then my third project was it was to create spine labels for the middle grade section. And I had more projects, but I didn't put like them up on there. Yeah. In conclusion, my Aspire library internship helped me grow by improving my time management and independence through completing projects. Even though my work was simple, it still helped me with consistency and responsibility, which are skills that will help me in my college in the future.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your help during your internship. Okay. Next on our agenda is committee updates. John, you want to talk about the budget for 2026?
Sure. So I met with Jennifer to talk about the preliminary budget that she had come up with for next year. We also sent it around to the finance committee to gain any comments as well. So there is some input. You'll see some of the comments here. I think those are yours, Mike, right? Which we addressed, but I can go through those. But I'm just going to highlight a couple of the things that maybe have changed or are just different, because we pretty much did last year's, kind of grew it, and then looked at where we were spending for this year. If I just stick with income, which is the first half of the first page here, once again, we're getting the same amount from the town for like 10 years running. No inflation in this scenario, I guess. We did add, we have the investment income there. I think that's a couple things. I think it could be the just increased yield we have from the trust accounts that we now have managed, as well as there might be some accounting here where when we did pull out some funds, they might land in one of these accounts. But just through May, we had 25,000. We only put 30 in for the whole year for next year. So we're trying to be conservative here, but it's probably a beatable number. It doesn't necessarily mean we need that. And we obviously, as a board or future boards, control that money moving from those investment accounts over. So it's kind of, as we need it. And if we don't, it can stay there and grow. We brought down passport income, a bit. It's flat to last year, but the run rate as it is, but there is some digital renewal capabilities now. So that might, come down from where we were in the future. The miscellaneous income, the 15,000, Jennifer, I think you said this is a grant that we got, like a spend it while you got it kind of grant by a senator. So I guess we got a check for for this fee. So this is a legit 15 for at least that year.
So is that for this year or next year?
We should be receiving it in the next 6 months, so December/January. So I did put it in for January just to be on the
Oh,
safe
but there's a
side.
chance that it would be December. We don't know.
Oh, because we don't know. All I got was it was going to be about 6 months. And yes, just to recognize and a very generous shout out to Senator Shelley Mayer, who gave us the grant. I'll mention it again in the director's report. I thought Valerie might want to mention it too.
Any questions?
This is probably a moot point, but to your point about the town, do we know about, like, do we talk about this at all? Is there any room to talk about any of this? And if not, then that's totally fine. But I do wonder about the number being so specific down to basically the dollar. I don't know how this works, but
So basically, as a taxing district, there's
Yeah.
there's a rate, just
Right.
like the school budget has a rate.
right.
And so we have been getting the same tax rate out of the funds that the town receives for the past 10 years. And we've never asked for more money.
How would one go about asking for more money?
I think you would have to change. I don't know if it would have to go through a town vote to, I assume just like the school budget does, you would have to then say, we want X%
Right.
increase, and the voters would have to vote on it.
All right, that's it.
It's a good question. If we go to the expenses, and I'll just stick with the ones that are on that first page there for library services, since there's a lot of the programming. Obviously, Jennifer can talk to any of the specifics, but I think all I'll say is there seems to be a shift away from, say, more traditional areas into more digital areas, right? Just sort of modernizing it. So there is a sort of meaningful shift there to that, which I think is fine. And it sort of matches the trends and probably the stats that we are putting up as well.
Just one question on that, Jennifer. Do we keep track of when folks ask for a specific book that we don't have, like a paper book, and whether we get it from another library or how we handle that? And, because then do we say, oh, we should go buy that book because people are asking for it? Like, how does that work?
Yes, we do to keep track of which books are coming in from other libraries. And also we have a button on the website that says recommended purchase. I also have a QR code little thing at the circ desk. And every time that someone asks for a book that we don't have, it's run by me and I will make a decision whether to purchase it. So yeah, we try and be very responsive.
If we go to the second page, office in general, admin, if you compare the 2 years, it's roughly flat, right? I'll only note that just like the 25 budget, we put in about 10,000 for contingency, which we always have contingencies. We're bringing that down a little bit, but that was just more like, budgeting and making things fit. But I do think it's a good thing to have in there and build in some slack. But we're always moving around the numbers at the end with the audit. So this will be the first one probably to get zeroed out if we don't use it. On the moving to the property and grounds, we did build in some in here for maintenance. I mean, it's roughly what we were doing for the 25, but it may not be specific. We've fixed a lot, but then we always find things are breaking a lot. So we wanted to have enough in there. I mean, I think the line items of that are probably less meaningful and more about just having enough there, or at least planning for it to to cover whatever comes up, right, between roofs and floods and other things. And obviously you see some other areas in there, right, with renovations and things. We don't have any major projects currently yet. And I think that's it mostly for big changes. I think the technology comes down with just the new setup, right? With what we have. So we'll see the benefits of that.
Their problem is just, could you explain the logic of why the parking lot project is 0?
Does zero just mean we don't know what it would be, or we're just,
So like the parking lot or anything?
well, I was looking at like, like on the, let me see, because there was something that was zero that I thought, like, let's say professional, like under a general, like accounting fees, just zero. I mean, it's not a big deal. I see the other numbers, but
I think
professional.
what you saw is we had some accounts that just weren't used. So sometimes they sort of are specific, sometimes they're general,
Okay,
and we just don't delete them. So if it's zero, it's fine. And we were looking for consistency, but this budget covers the accounting services we have. It covers our audit.
Mm.
It covers everything we need in the items here.
okay.
As an example, there was I think 3 different lines for publicity: teen,
Oh.
children, adult. Like I don't think we need to get that specific about
Mhm.
advertising too. It's so, and probably just having one bucket is good enough. So there's definitely things in the budget that are just look like that, but for speed and ease here, we're not going to delete accounts.
Okay, Mike,
See some-
sorry for interrupting. Go over.
So the question about parking lot specifically is, we didn't know what we were going to spend, and if I'm going to use operating numbers for it, I'd rather use capital numbers for it, which would be a vote anyway, and we'd fund it that way. So I didn't want to take away from programs and other things in the regular operating budget to do something like that. So, good.
Lawn and snow is more than double. Or, oh, I guess this is not double. This is anticipated lawn and snow. But again, that's property. There's nothing you can really do about that. I don't
Yeah.
think.
And salary and benefits went up like 100,000. The last number on the second, I think it's the second page. Is that mostly due to benefits? Salary and wages.
Yeah, benefits is the next, benefits is the next page, so.
But is it?
Well, the salary wages line went up by like 20 something thousand.
Okay.
The benefits, I mean, they're close. I mean, the FICA was calculated off the increase of benefits. I think the others are relatively in line. I think we had a question about like insurance or something, but we had that quote already. So it kind of reflects what we expect to get, like medical and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we moved it up to 50. It was originally like 40 something.
mean, for whatever it's worth, a lot of the expenses I think reflect like last year's actuals and are quite low, probably due to the light winter, like fuel oil, some of the lawn and snow stuff, some of the maintenance. So I think it's actually good that we're like a little more realistic there. That's my only comment on this whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's hard to guess, right? And if, yeah. Okay. What
Do we have
procedures?
to, do we have to actually make a motion to approve the budget if I recall, or no, we're good?
Yeah, you need to approve it
Yeah,
for
that's what I
sure.
thought.
Yeah. Usually we open it up for, questions, comments, whatever, and then next time you would vote on it.
Yeah.
I always thought that we have input from our accountant before we would approve the budget.
Shared it with both the accountant and the bookkeeper, and they did not have any adjustments suggested.
I think that would be great if Mike would just write a letter so we can document that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so we'll bring it for approval next month.
Great.
That will also give those that didn't attend time to review it if they have questions. Great. Technology, Mike. In front of John.
Jennifer and I both decided that her computer was in the Stone Age, and so Jennifer, with her own funds, below the 1,500, just bought herself a new laptop for a very good price, and that's the only technology update.
Yeah, it says children's room computer.
Sorry, one of the computers went out in the children's room. OR is the computer that we use. We went through the old invoices to see whether there had been any price changes. No, they're charging exactly the same as we paid 3 years ago. So I recommend that we just approve a new computer.
All right, do we need a motion, or I don't know what the budget is for, if it's under the dollar amount? Do you know, Jennifer, is it in here?
It's
It was
over, it's
over, yeah.
3,600, yes.
Okay. So I'll need a motion to approve the replacement of the children's room computer.
I move that we replace the children's room computer with a new OR computer for 3,600 and change.
3266 even.
3,266.
John seconds.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Great, thank you.
I do have a question though. How many of these computers do we have in the children's room? 4. And are they all the same age?
There's 3 that are the same age and 1 that's coming that is going to be new.
Okay. And
We
do
bought them all at the same time, yeah.
do we anticipate that we will have similar, do we know what caused the failure and do we anticipate we'll have to replace the other ones? Or do we think this is a one-off? Do we have any sense of that?
The one that we're replacing was from 2016, so it's really age. If we did send it in for repair rather than replacement, I don't think they'd have the parts or the software to make that happen. Hence the new one. And yes, they were all bought at the same time, but we bought 2 new ones recently, so now everything will be basically on the same cycle. So it's actually 3 desktop computers plus 4 pads. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lexi, is there anything governance legal?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Jenna, public relations.
I reached out to the resident who had shown interest in just in our policy around gift giving and, you know, what that could look like. So we'll give her some more time to respond. Wait, I have one other update. One sec, long day. Can't remember. Okay, maybe you can come back.
Why don't we go to planning the next board meeting, since everyone I think is here that is going to be here. And then Jenna can think if she has anything else she wants to add. All right. So July. Is going to be fun to plan, I'm sure. I can't do the 29th. I can't do the last week. I can do the week of the 21st. 22? Nope, Mike can't do the 22nd. Can you do that week or just not the Tuesday? You come back that day? 23rd or 24th? 23? Ooh, we're moving to Wednesdays, people. Lexi, you good for the 23rd? Doesn't look like it.
I don't think any date in July is going to
That's
work.
what I was afraid of.
Don't
For me,
plan
this
around
is
me.
like the only week that works for me.
I'm in Rhode Island all month.
Okay. John, you good for the 23rd? Jennifer? All right. We're going to go with the 23rd, I think. Programs. Oh, unless Lexi, do you remember? I mean, sorry, Jenna, was there anything else you wanted to share that you remember? Okay, no problem. No problem. That's okay. Selena, program development.
This might get covered in director's report, but thanks to Jennifer for making some changes to our music offering. We basically taking some feedback from our community members have added a different vendor to our music cycle, which I think is great. I hope that those conversations were okay and everyone is happy, but yeah, it sounds like there's just so much interest in that program. So if there are, you know, folks that like a certain type of vendor, I think that we should try to accommodate that where possible.
Okay.
So it's been brought to our attention, over the past several years, whenever the community has feedback on the Pound Ridge community, Facebook page or any of our other social channels or any outlets the community leverages. And we just wanted to address that we monitor them, we see them, we discuss them, even if we are not publicly engaging as the library or as trustees. It doesn't mean that we are not seeing everything that we can about the library and being very proactive about the feedback and any commentary around the library's activities or viewpoints. So please just know that this is top of mind, and we continue to take this very seriously and to want to have a warm and inclusive and really safe environment for everyone.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Jenna. I think the other thing that's important to add is if someone makes a comment on socials or sends an email to Jennifer or to the trustees, we react to that. The other place we get comments, though, is sometimes just individuals reach out to us on the board, and we're probably less likely to, we might give them some information, but oftentimes what I do, and I know Selena, you've done the same, and I think others have as well, is said, come to a board meeting and share your views at a board meeting, right? Rather than us individually responding to, to comments and feedback that way. So hopefully the, public will continue to use the mechanisms that we've built for communication and come to the board meetings.
Exactly, Val. That's a really good build. And just want to again reiterate that a few years ago we had put together like our first, ad hoc policy and on how we kind of navigate things at the library and feedback, especially digital and social. And we encourage people to use the library's official outlets. And I think as trustees, we're all aligned that engaging directly is not in line really with our policy.
Thank you. And human resources.
No update other than I was going to call a quick executive session tonight, but we really wanted a full house. And with Richard and Bob not here, I think we should. You think we should? Okay. It'll be very quick, John, I promise. Okay. Okay. So I'm calling for an executive session. And Jennifer, you don't need to be there, but okay.
Mike, anything for long range planning?
Nothing new.
Thank you. All right. Parking lot. My favorite topic. So hopefully you all saw in the drive a draft of a proposal from the engineer. I would say that really we focused on a couple of key things, which was safety, because we know that's something that we continue to hear from patrons, from us, staff, as well as from the planning board. So one of the things you'll notice, I know it's really hard to zoom in on that thing. Yep, go ahead. One of the things you'll notice that I think is new, that hopefully people can see, is a that's okay. Hold on. We'll wait to see if it works. I don't know what the comment section is there too. No problem. I'll wait till you get it up so I can describe it. So one of the things, yeah, I know I have a picture on my laptop too, if someone wants to look at it, but I'm going to actually go up and point. It won't help the folks on the phone, but for those in the room, ultimately what we're proposing, I don't even know if I can really point, is a, I'll describe it. So ultimately is a sidewalk that goes from the top of the current parking lot, the parking where you park kind of on a little diagonal. So there would be a sidewalk in front of those cars, and then you would have a crosswalk to cross the street, to cross the driveway, and where our handicap spots are now, you would have a sidewalk. So from a safety perspective, we're proposing sidewalks from the top of the lot all the way down, which is a huge difference than what we have now, right? Everyone just kind of runs through our parking lot. So I think that deals with a lot of the safety issues. The handicap spots would be moved to where those 4 or 5 spots are right now across from the entranceway. And so you would also then have to have a crosswalk there. We've also, at least in the initial proposal, added the sidewalk that Jennifer has proposed. So basically you would, if you were handicapped and parking in one of those 4 spots, you would cross and you could go in the back door because there would be a sidewalk there to the back door, as well as the sidewalk that already exists to the front door. So I think that's a lot of the safety things. And then I would say the other, nothing surprising, right, in things we've talked about before, that the current driveway that is dirt that goes to the neighbor's house, that would be widened and paved. And we would have parking along both sides of that driveway. Gets us to our 50-ish spots with an appropriate number of handicap spots with appropriate distance between the handicap spots so that people can actually get out of the car and navigate. Jennifer, am I missing anything? So really that's the draft. We have we have the ability to go back to them and say, we want to change things, add things, delete things. But that's kind of where we are. And I think next steps is really deciding what to do with this information, right? So the first thing they asked us at the last meeting was, are you going to hire a lawyer to represent you at the planning board? And I shared how we didn't think that was successful. I don't know what iteration I'm on, the first, the third, the second, whatever iteration. I did ask them, they didn't answer, if we could hire them to come with us, at least maybe to the first meeting, but Jennifer, I don't think I got an answer to that question. So I got to go back to them and ask that question. But that's one option. And then obviously another option is we go at least the first time ourselves and see what happens. So I guess I really would, one, want to have discussion, and then two, want to make a decision on what do we do with this?
I'll leave cost for someone else to ask.
Yeah, leave cost out for now.
Does it make sense to, on the side or something, reach out to some board members, like zoning and planning board members, and talk to them and get a little buy-in or input before we go in front of them and formally?
So two things. One, we have the ability to ask for an informal meeting with the planning board. We've done that before. Secondly, I think a few of us have talked to a few people, and I think we've gotten some positive, thoughts.
With these specific drawings?
Yeah. We haven't shown them the drawing, but we've talked about the potential.
And in fact, they recommended we use this engineer
firm
for this exact purpose.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We've fallen for that before, but yes, that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's but I think that's great. As
I
long
mean,
as
we could go to the first meeting with
I don't
no
want to.
cost.
No, but my thing is just waste. I don't want to waste our time by going there and then we find that there's some like foot fault, or we're going at 11 o'clock or something, and then it doesn't move forward, because then it's another month or two before we go back.
Yep.
So as long as we think that there's real support or some faction of it on that planning board, I think this is great.
I know, Anne, you want to say something. My quick comment would be, I would like to push them to join us.
Okay. Yeah, I
think
understand.
that
Yes.
Yes.
The engineer.
Dawn.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
calling her
Yeah.
Dawn.
Dawn. Yep.
I don't think there's a point in us representing
I would
their
agree.
work
And I think it's a
and wasting
minimal
everyone's time.
cost, right? Because I'm paying by the hour for them
Yeah.
to be there. So yeah, I would agree with that. Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Anne's-
Just one thing about the plan, and this goes back to the last time we were talking about the parking lot. It has to do with the handicap spaces, moving them over across. I remember a big issue was that little section there is kind of on a slant.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it would have to be evened out, graded.
So they
whatever.
took that into consideration.
did.
I would argue that I'm not sure it was as big of an issue as it was raised to be. I
Okay.
mean, they have shown us drawings that include the percent grade and the difference of grading and how much you have to grade to get to the right place. So I would say that our conversations with them started with a figure out a way to do this at the least cost you possibly can, but with having 50 spots, right? That was kind of where we started. And so I think that they took into, and we shared with them some of the challenges we've had with safety and some of the things that have been raised by others. And so I think we got a pretty good proposal that meets all of those needs. I think the other thing that I didn't say, because I don't know, I think my notes must be at home, was that they also shared, oh no, I do have my notes, that the goal here is to maximize the pavement we already have, right? So it's really to, if you remember the first proposal, like cut down half of the trees and, et cetera. And so this proposal is definitely more focused on, it's cost effective, it maximizes the payment, it complies with ADA, it adds safety, and we're actually not increasing the use of our library because we're already using spots on that road. So by adding those spots that are real spots, you're not actually increasing traffic. They're already coming here and they're parking on that road. It's just a matter of having it be a little bit safer and easier to maintain instead of ditches and rocks and stuff in the way. So that's kind of the way that we would talk to the planning board about our proposal and the goal of this.
Can you talk about the neighbors
Sure.
piece?
Yep. One other thing that I would say is the plan is to make it a fully one-way circulation. So you know how today you can back out of one of those diagonal spots and go the other way? It will all be one way, that whole circle. So, and the reason we have to do that is because we're going to move the spots out a little bit to allow for a sidewalk. So there actually is not enough space to turn to do that. So I think it's a really good point, Selena, which is another, I guess, thing we should talk about is whether we should have a conversation with with both neighbors that are behind us before the planning board meeting, just to share our proposal with them. I mean, I think we probably legally have to send it to them before we make a proposal to the planning board. So if we're actually bringing a true proposal to the planning board, I think often you have to notify your neighbors anyway. But anyways, we can talk to them. Obviously, there's been discussion about a new driveway for them. In talking with the engineers, I will say they were very surprised that our easement does not require the neighbors to maintain it. Very surprised, and even suggested to us that if they wanted a driveway, we could ask them to pay for a driveway and we would support them. One of the problems they thought we would have with the driveway is it actually crosses, it's the new place you could add a driveway. It's not just our land, it's their land and our land. And now we're creating more easements and, et cetera. And just, they felt legally it was a burden to plan that out. And like I said, I think they were surprised that the current easement does not require maintenance by the two homeowners in the back, since it does not. And they even asked to read it. We sent it to them. So yes, so that's a good question. And I don't think it's ready yet for a full proposal to the planning board. So it is not the big schematic with all the lights and where the shrubs are and all that type of stuff. That's the next phase, which is going to cost more money, right? So this is like a preliminary. So we can go to the planning board with it, but it's not yet this is our proposal, vote on it, planning board.
So the parking spaces that are, on the back driveway leading to the neighbors, there's more on one side than on the other.
Yep.
Okay. So the side that has more, will that be like right across from one of our neighbors' houses? Will they?
So I think just like we would have them when they do the big schematic, you'd put a buffer, you'd put trees, which is what we did before, to try to minimize the lights. You also have your lights focused down instead of straight, and you also have low lighting and all sorts of ways to not have it. Will headlights again, if you put arborvitae in front of that, I think you reduce the headlights. So there's a lot of ways to potentially reduce it. Does that not mean that a few other neighbors might jump in and question? Absolutely. And I think one did one did, I don't know, again, 3 or 4 times ago, there was a neighbor that was concerned about the lights in into their backyard.
And these spaces have been, for lack of a better word, they've been spaced out. So there's room there, like, when you open, you measure.
Yes, no, yes.
So when they're not going to be opening door,
No.
like when you open your door, you're not.
No, everything they
I
did
guess
is
on this, they look so narrow.
yeah. Well, it's, I mean, everything they did is based on what is allowed. So for instance, one reason that they suggested moving the handicap spaces is because the 2 spots are probably grandfathered in. They are not ADA compliant, the 2 spots that are on the sidewalk. And right. So once you start making changes, you're going to have to make that change. You have no choice.
My earlier comment was just going to be that, once we get our time confirmed to go to the town meeting, we should definitely try to invite people that have emailed us in the past or given us the feedback in the past, just to be there to support maybe the neighbors too.
Yep, I think that's a good idea too. All right. So I guess what I'm hearing is potentially, from a timing perspective, I have to look at the schedule to see when we have to have documents to the planning board and whether we can make July or not. We'll look into that. And then I think to ask Dawn if we can pay her by the hour to come. I don't think we need the traffic study guy there yet. I think we give them the traffic study and we give them this in advance, and then they've already talked. I mean, their engineer has already talked to the traffic study guy. So, but if they want them there in person, we can do that eventually as well. Does that make sense to everybody? John, for cost, I think the problem we've always had this problem anticipating cost, is so much of it has to do with the wages of the union people at the time, et cetera. What I told them was my estimate was 250 to 500 at the top. Their answer was, you are absolutely in range. Okay. So, I mean, that was my estimate based on what I've seen and heard in the past. Obviously a lot depends on lots of things, right? But that was kind of my estimate of a range, and they thought that was reasonable. All right. That's all I have. Director's report, Jennifer.
So the first thing on the schedule is facilities management. So we're proposing to hire Bonnie Schwartz as the facilities manager at $35 an hour. Her start date would be tomorrow if the board approves. I did include the contract in the trustee job with all of the details and everything, but she was happy with everything in it. So we'll sign it, and then she can sign it if you guys are happy with the way it looks. Did you want to vote on that, or?
Yeah, I guess I need a motion, although I don't think it technically goes over the dollar limit, but since we're signing a contract, need a motion to enter into that contract with Bonnie. Anybody?
I'm happy to make a motion.
Thank you. And seconded? And seconded. All right, anyone opposed? Okay. And then Jennifer, if you need me to sign that, let me know.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next is the trustee election. We need to set the date. First of all, it's the 3rd Tuesday. We usually do it the 3rd or the 4th Tuesday of September. So the 3rd is the 16th and the 4th is the 23rd. Any preferences? while you look at your calendars. So just to run through the people that are eligible to run again, that only have one term under their belt, is Michael Clark, John Cristiano, and Selena Shen. So if you guys could just let me know if you intend to run again, I'll make sure and get you the nominating petitions as soon as possible. Valerie, unfortunately, has timed out of her second term, so is not eligible to run. And then we also just need to choose an election coordinator. Last year we had Hannah. She did a great job. I'm going to recommend one of our new clerks, Morgan Anar Brady. She's very conscientious, very detail oriented. I think she'd be a perfect fit for the role. The gig, if you will, is $1,000 from beginning to end. Did anyone have any?
The 23rd
thoughts on
is
that?
a holiday, Jewish holiday, so
Gotcha.
I would go with the 16th.
So the 16th, okay. Great. Okay, did anyone
Yeah, and I
have
think,
any?
I mean, Morgan's done it before. I can't imagine that anyone has any.
Morgan has not done it before.
Oh, sorry, I
but
thought she did.
Hannah did it last
Hannah
year.
did it
Well, yeah,
last year.
Morgan's
Okay.
pretty new to us,
Okay.
just since March. So shall I go ahead and ask if she is interested? Okay, great, thank you. And then, oh, just wanted to let you know that our new website calendar is going to roll out on Friday. You can't see it very well here, but it's a very clean, very modern, user-friendly format, and it is also going to be extremely more productive and efficient for us on the back end who are using it. I've fallen in love with Drupal, and this is, I think Alan will agree with me that it's extremely easy to use for all of us, and using it on the patron side too, just with reservations, we're going to now be able to send out text notifications 24 hours before to remind you that you've registered, which is just a nice new feature. Okay, and we spoke before about a grant that came in from Senator Shelley Mayer for $15,000. This is going to be used for enhancing community engagement through programs and book collections. It'll be here in the next 6 months. I also
And
wanted
Jennifer
to,
already sent a thank you letter, but I'll do the same, just so that we can continue to stay in good gracious with Senator.
And just wanted to recognize some donations that we received. One from the League of Women Voters of Northeast Westchester. They frequently used the Schaffner room in the evenings. They are one of the people that we were talking about because of the back entrance. They had someone who had accessibility issues, so they were extremely appreciative of that. We also had one of the artists who was in this room for the women's exhibition send us a donation as well, and we really appreciate that. And then, as always, just want to remind you of your 2-hour requirement for trustee education. For people that are new to the board this year, you have until October. For the rest of you, you have until December. I sent out an email today for an upcoming session with Nonprofit Westchester, if you're interested. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you. I think because he couldn't present it. So the audit, I don't think we need to review it here until he's going to present it, right, Jennifer? Is that
Yes,
the plan?
hopefully next time.
So we can all review it in the interim, the auditor. And then just on the parking lot, I just looked it up. So the planning board meets the 4th Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m., which would be July 22nd. And they need the materials 2 weeks prior, which would be July 8th. So if everything works out, I'll talk to Dawn and see if she's available. I don't think we're going to submit an application. We're gonna go in more, on a proposal and see their reaction. Anyone that can come should join us. Okay. Any new business?
This is not new business, but I'm just curious. Did we ever hear back from the Boy Scouts about sponsoring them?
No, I
No?
have not heard
Okay.
back.
Okay. I just
Yeah.
remember it from
Yeah, no,
previous
I've
minutes.
given, every time our meetings, I've sent her an email asking for someone to come, and
Okay.
last time I guess they were unable to, and I didn't hear back this time. So public remarks, anybody? Okay. Meeting is officially adjourned at 8:25 p.m. And we'll go into, in 5 minutes, we'll go into a quick executive session.